Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here. Check out the series. Of course, you know what to do. If you like what you see, what you hear, hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, new and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So it's a great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. And I am so excited today. Shelley Hennig is here with a brand new movie called, brand new series actually on Netflix called Obliterated. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great, and it's so nice to meet you. Been watching you over the years in your various projects, and I got to say, this is one of the most fun things I think I've seen you in yet.
Yeah.
As outrageous and absurd as it is anything else. First off, congratulations, because it really is such a fun series to watch. But honestly, how was this even pitched to you? Because I would love to hear what this looked like even on paper.
That is a really good question. You know, the way that it works with actors, I'm sure you know, having interviewed many of us, you get an email and there's a breakdown of the show, movie, and of the character. And I happened to be filming, I was deep into filming a movie in Atlanta and doing night shoots for like almost 3 months. And so there was one day where like 7 auditions, lucky me, I know, but that's rare. I swear there was like 7 in my inbox, and I'm doing night shoots and I'm like, I don't even know where to begin. So I didn't do what I normally did, which was like a deep dive. I just kind of briefly read each character description with each email. I wasn't even looking for like who created it. Like at the time, I was just like, what is the role? And for whatever reason, Obliterated, I just read CIA agent and I just went, nope. And I actually passed on the freaking audition
Wow.
originally.
Yeah.
Cut to, luckily, I come back to LA and I was meeting up with a friend, a very dear friend of mine, Ben Lawson, a fellow actor. And I was telling him how I needed to take a mini break. And he was like, that's a shame. There's this script out there. Like, how have you not tested for Ava Winters yet? And I'm like, what? And he had me look through my email. Like, he was really on me about it. And I was like, shit, I passed on this like 2 or 3 months ago. And he's like, I don't think they cast the role yet. So I called my agent at like midnight on a Friday and she answered. And she was like, yeah, they haven't found the girl yet. And then 2 days later, I sent in a tape. And then I go off to Ireland and randomly film another movie. And then while I'm there, I get a call. They want to test me for Obliterated. And now I'm doing it via Zoom on the same day that my character on the other movie is getting tortured in a torture chair all morning after flying from London to promote another thing. Like I had a very lucky year last year, but it was nuts, but it was really meant to be. The minute I actually read the script and paid attention to the fact that this was like a fun series, I was so relieved that I had still an opportunity to be a part of it. Thank you, Ben Lawson.
And you say finding out it's a fun series too. I was thinking about that, like because it's an action show and it's sort of spy versus spy a lot of the time, but we see this absurdity that I feel like hadn't been around for a while, and I'm just starting to see maybe it start to creep back in.
Yes.
Like the SNL guys, Please Don't Destroy. They've got their own movie out. I don't know. You read a lot. Am I just missing something, or is this starting to come back?
I think it's starting to come back, and I think it's less precious, if you will. I mean, the show, I mean, I'll speak for Obliterated, but there's something in it for everyone. It's not a divisive show. I mean, truly, anyone in Louisiana, Kentucky, California, Ireland, wherever is going to appreciate it. It's really fun. And there is a serious threat in the show, and that's what keeps it grounded. And it is absurd, but what I liked about it, and that's what I liked about Ava, was that we need her to be as serious as possible. Otherwise, it does get too ridiculous. So I had that responsibility, which initially I was like, oh God, I don't get to be the fun one. But They added some fun things for me, and then for some reason I play drunk really well. Maybe having been from Louisiana, and so they added there's some treats in there that I got to, I didn't have that serious responsibility the entire time.
Yeah. Do you all talk about and I'll say some of this in the intro, the written intro too, but basically let's do the setup here, because you all are this special ops team in Vegas, and there's a nuclear threat that you've got to stop. And once you think that you've stopped it, everybody gets tanked on booze and drugs, and only to find out that you haven't. And that's where we start. And it's amazing, first off, that you can hold that over, or is it 8 episodes? Because when I first hear the premise, it's almost like that's kind of sounds like a movie. Like, how do they stay drunk? And it's not really the whole thing, right? Like, but there's always someone who's drunk or high or whatever, at least one person, and a lot of times many people. I feel like watching people play drunk on film doesn't always work, though.
Hmm.
Like, it's overplayed. Like, did you all talk about that at all? Like, how, I mean, like, was that part of the conversation?
I think they just trusted us to bring what our experience is. And I've been drunk before.
Sure.
I also have this ability when I drink to remain poised. And that's what Ava is, until you're challenged beyond belief. There's literally a nuclear bomb threatening Las Vegas. You did say it's almost reads like a movie. That's kind of how John, Josh, and Hayden said to view it. It takes place over the course of 24 hours, and it just happens to be 8 episodes. And that part, I mean, that's like the show 24. That part was really intriguing. And I just remember thinking, how are we going to do this? I definitely saw that as a challenge, but I mean, once you're in it, it was no longer something you thought about, except for the fact that you're wearing the same outfit for 6 months.
Oh, never even occurred to me.
Yeah. Oh yes. The same. I mean, with the exception of like flashback scenes and maybe one other scene at the end, but yeah, it's the same, which actually brought up, you're figuring it out as you go a lot of the times. Like, I didn't have a lot of time to prepare. I was a last minute ad, and I flew basically straight from Ireland to Albuquerque. And I bought a lot of Amazon undies last year, just living from hotel to hotel. I'm like, I am not spending $5 per pair of underwear. Anyway, I just remember my really ratchet Amazon underwear and myself going from Ireland to Albuquerque. Let's see, I was talking about not having a lot of time to prep. And there are just certain things that no matter how good everyone is at their job, there's certain things that happened that you just can't really predict. And there's like one scene where I knew that my character was going commando. She's not wearing underwear. And that the problem with that is then the rest of the series, you never see her put underwear on. So then for the rest of the series, I'm doing stunts in this short black dress, and she technically has on no underwear. So we didn't think that through necessarily, but we made it work. And I basically wore Spanx, like biker shorts, the entire time. That way my legs could, I
Right.
could do my job and be a field agent.
At least you figured that part out. But
Yes, yes.
and to be fair, it seems like everyone is sort of equal opportunity in this one. That has to, pony up on the new, like the amount of
Yeah.
boobs, butts, and wieners.
That was certainly a discussion, and the girls were like, okay, who's going to show boobs, who's going to show butt, who's going to that's not how this went down, but I decided what I felt comfortable with, and it's definitely more than I've done before. So my family in Louisiana, my apologies. But it makes sense in the tone of the show, and we all felt so safe. I mean, it starts from the top. I mean that, like, John, Josh, Hayden, they're just magical. And I remembered the other day, the first time I met John and Hayden, they were casting American Reunion, American Pie. I went out for that in like 2012. So I remember going in for it. I was testing with Chris Klein. That's correct, right? And my character's on Molly, and they were just like, just go for it, whatever you want to do. And I just remember there was a chair there. And at one point, I just started humping the chair as though like the chair felt good because you're, on drugs. And then I leave and I call my manager and he's like, how'd it go? And I'm like, oh, great. I like hump a chair. And he was like, I'm sorry, what? My point is that became like the bar between my manager and I. Like, how did your audition go? Did you hump a chair? Not actually, but like that set a standard. Like, did you just give it all that you had within reason? And that was started with John and Hayden. Cut to many, many, many years later, I'm humping other things in the show.
But everybody like, I was thinking of the other characters too. Is the character named Tank? Like his,
Trump.
I'm not going to give anything away, but that
no, iconic. Let's just call it iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Iconic. I mean, as a man, I can imagine that made you really
it's the only time I think I got up and went, okay, all right, just walking away. Let's
yeah. Not to speak for Nick and Terrence, but Trunk and McKnight, they had difficulties filming that. It made them feel it was visceral.
I get it. I do. I get it. And on the other side, I mean, C. Thomas Howell, who I don't know how much time you get to spend because he sort of gets Weekend at Bernie through most of the show, but
he's with us a lot. And the patience that he had to, be the Weekend at Bernie's character was really impressive.
Yeah. And that's what I was wondering. It's like, what was it like spending a lot of time with him on there? Well, I see him come around. He'll come around and play because he tours as well. So
yeah. I'm a big fan of his. I love him. He was such a supporter of mine and all of us, but he really recognized the responsibility that I had day to day, and so he would come in and just, he's got a lot on his plate, and he would just sit down with me and he meant a lot. And then Nick and I, we were on set a lot, and see Tommy would be passed out in a scene, and somehow he would steal the show. And Nick and I, they called cut, and we just looked at each other like, how? And he puts in physical comedy even when he's passed out, and he thinks of things that are not written in the script. Of course, he's brilliant, but Nick and I really learned a lot watching him, and he's an amazing addition to the show. He's incredible.
With this type of show, and I'm looking back at some of the other things you've done. Obviously, Teen Wolf. I just spent, by the way, this summer with Tyler. He was here in town shooting a movie, and my son was the intern on the movie.
No way. Yeah. I thought of Tyler Posey the entire shoot because he was our lead on Teen Wolf, and every day for me, I guess I was on for 6 years, but he did more seasons than I did, obviously. It didn't matter what was going on in his life. He was the best number one I think I could have ever worked with. So I thought of him a lot just with all of our responsibility on this show. And I really, I thought about him a lot.
Yeah. He's one of the most positive guys I think I've ever met in my
life. Yeah. But who's had a lot of hardships, but he, he still shows up, and he just makes everyone feel safe, and it's fun.
Yeah. Well, and you come from a show like that, and I don't know how much, you get to kind of build on what you do, but it's like, here we are, and this feels like real, like the action show. This seems like the big action. Do you find that I don't know, because everybody likes to flex different muscles. I get it. But do you find that you get attracted to this type of acting in a different way?
I like to genre hop. I don't like to be put in a box. What I did love about, Teen Wolf was such an amazing experience. I love the people really and my character. And there were a lot of stunts in it. And I'm a former dancer. I grew up dancing competitively. And for me, being physical is really fun. And it helps the day go by. We never just sat there. Nick and I were either doing push-ups, all of us, but I like being physical. So that aspect was really fun. And then this was a, bigger budget. So we were doing some pretty intense stunt stuff that I loved. I mean, we were in harnesses for hours at a time and you couldn't pay me to pull me down. It was really, really fun. We had a great stunt team behind us. And then my friend Mallory Thompson, who's actually from Louisiana, where I'm from, we're the same age. We met in LA and she's been my stunt double for years now. And she did us a solid and she came to Albuquerque. So I got to do this with her. And I don't know, it was just really special. But back to, I mean, the genre stuff, I mean, I learned a lot about stunts from Teen Wolf, so I was able to bring that here. But this is truly unlike anything that I've done, and that's been so rewarding. It was so challenging, but like that was my favorite part of it. And you had a full team. My co-stars were unbelievable as humans and as actors. Then the people who created the show, John Josh Hayden, that's what we called him. I mean, you just can't ask for better. They trusted us and it really was a collaboration. I mean, even my intimacy coordinator was giving me creative ideas with how my character has sex. I didn't know that was a thing with intimacy coordinators, that they could also be creative. I thought they were just supposed to make you feel safe. And I loved that contribution. It really, it made me feel even safer. But yeah, I don't know. I like to do it all.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah, I
I
mean,
don't like to do two of the same things back to back.
sure. I was gonna say, but now you are an action hero, and as such, I don't know if you have an action hero theme song, but I feel
Oh,
like that's something that if I were an action hero, I would have right away. It's a good soundtrack. That's what I'm getting to, by the way, on this. It's got a really kick-ass soundtrack. So
it does. It does. We love that as well. It would be for me, it'd be something like Dolly Parton. Be
she was
like
just on the
Jolene.
show. I just had her on the show too.
That's right. I did watch it. I'm sorry. I knew that. And I
No,
watched it
no,
today
it's
and I loved it.
it's incredible. That might be like one of the most incredible things. It's not like I'm not going to play that down. By the way, I had Dolly Parton on the show. I'm going to tell anybody I can about that. So
I
it's
know. I mean, I was just like, and he wants to talk to me. Okay. No, she's amazing. She's an idol of mine.
Dolly Parton has an action theme song. That's surprising, though. I'll
I don't
say
know. Well,
nothing wrong with it.
I always gotta like confuse people.
Uh-huh.
I don't like to be in that box. I don't want to be one thing, So it'd be like Jolene or something, and it wouldn't make sense, but I'd love it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course, if you do it in slow motion, it always makes sense.
Yeah, of
That's
course.
the juxtaposition. I was thinking too because you did way back when, or maybe not too long ago, but you did a music video with was it Marren Morris?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the band Perry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
right.
There was like a country music video stint for me a minute there. I didn't really grow up listening to country, but as an adult, I found it through just being in LA. I don't know why. I think I was going through a breakup or something. And I don't know. And now I'm like obsessed, but I didn't really grow up. My parents don't listen to it. But yeah, I was flattered to be in country music videos. I was like, oh, people back home will think this is cool. And Marren is amazing. The band Perry, they're amazing. We became friends. That was pretty cool.
And then funny how that stuff sneaks in though. The stuff that you would have never listened to maybe when you were younger, and then suddenly you're like, oh, feeling it now. This is
Yeah,
it.
I guess I like missed home or so. I don't know, but now I'm like country fanatic, and one of very few in Los Angeles. So whenever you meet a fellow country fan, it's like it's a really big deal.
Yeah. I feel also and I'm not sure exactly what artists like you might listen to, so I'm making assumptions here. But the genre sort of, as it tends to do, it's sort of, found it kept up with the times, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I will say I'm more like 90s, early 2000s country. I think for
Mhm.
me, it's the nostalgia. It's the fact that I know, excuse me, I know the lyrics, or I think I do. I say them somewhat as they are. It's the nostalgia for me. I don't know. I'm less into modern country, but people are kind of sneaking in for me.
Yeah. I mean,
No
there's
better than Dolly.
well, there we go. That's all you need. All you need is Dolly.
Yeah. Well, and Garth Brooks
Uh-huh.
and Brooks and Dunn, who
Uh-huh.
I got to see this year at Stagecoach, so that was cool.
Those are
I
fun.
almost cried.
Garth was my first concert.
I've never been to Garth. I did Brooks and Dunn, but Garth is on the list. It
Yeah.
was your first concert? I mean, what do you do after that?
What do you do? What did I do? I was like 10 or something maybe when I saw Garth, and then it took about, I think, 3 years later, and I went to Farm Aid, and I saw Willie Nelson and Dave Matthews
Oh,
and John Mellencamp and Neil Young, and that was my second concert. So, and I
that's
got my first Contacts high off that one. So,
wow. Wait, what is a contact? Oh, right. Oh, sorry. Yes. Shelley, you're promoting a show called Obliterated. You should know what that means.
no, that was it. Um,
So you got
when
high with Willie Nelson, essentially.
I basically got high with Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
I got high from people who were smoking in the vicinity of Willie Nelson. He was
It was
probably
you and Willie.
smoking. So yeah, sure.
It
That's
was you and Willie.
never say no, right? Never say no to Willie.
Oh.
That's um on the subject of Obliterated, there was another person I wanted to ask about, because when I saw Lori Petty on the screen,
I cannot.
I instantly knew. I was like, oh my God, it's Lori Petty. Please tell me anything at all.
I love that woman with every ounce of my being. I I'm speechless. Those are some of my favorite scenes of the series. She is just so good at what she does, and she did not hold back, and she even found ways into like, because I mean, I don't think this is a huge spoiler, but like she's kind of like flirting with like McKnight, Nick's character. But like she didn't leave me out to dry. She kept me entertained by using me as like a buffer between them. She just added things that weren't in the script that I was so appreciative of, and it just made it even more fun. We were having a rough day one time. It was, just we fit in a lot each day. And I just remember being like, Lori, what do you need right now to just be so happy? She's like, I don't know, I'm good. I'm like, no, I got you. What do you need? And then I told her I had White Claws in my car. And so we pretended that we were going to be drinking within the hour, and that like calmed our nerves for a second. We never did. I'm hoping to have a White Claw with her one day, but I just felt like I wanted to make sure that she was just so happy and comfortable and excited to be there, as much as because we were as just so excited to have her.
It's seriously, it's anytime she's on screen, and I love watching that.
She's special.
Yeah.
And Nick and I got to spend a lot of time with her, and we just laughed and had a good time. And yeah, she's awesome.
And honestly, and I know it's one of the things people say, especially in the interviews, like, oh, it was like a family and we had a great time and everything. But it honestly looks like you would have had to have had a great time on this show.
Yes. And so grateful for that, because again, Ava's very like, she's the mission girl and she's the responsible one. And I freaking hate being that in real life. I have a tattoo that says I'm fun on my finger. But we got to have so much fun, when they call cut. Like we just laughed a lot. Like these actors are truly hilarious and really good people, and just little things like Paola had a day off, and so like the next day she comes to set and she's got a coffee for me, and I literally cried. I was just so beside myself, but we did that for each other, and it was grueling in the best way. It's an action comedy. There's a lot to get done, and we did it together. Nick and I would, at the end of the night, always look at each other, and I think this is something he started to say, and he'd be like, we did it. So it was really bonding.
Yeah, I love that. You really can't tell. You honestly really can't tell.
Good.
I enjoyed it. I seriously enjoyed it so much watching it. And
We haven't seen anything like this in a while.
we haven't seen anything like this. Yeah. So hopefully there's more. Hopefully there's more in some way, one way or the other. So
Yeah,
bring
no,
it
it
on.
looks like there absolutely could be. We just
Yeah.
need everyone to tune in.
Shelley, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it.
Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate it. Nice to meet you. I'll come visit you in Kentucky sometime.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.